So today, the two of us, with literally thousands and thousands of stages and online digital conversion mastery, over $10 million in production per year, millions of dollars per year over a sustained period of over 25 years in my own life, we will now reveal to you how to overcome the top over 20 objections. By show of hands, would that be useful?
Yeah.
Are you getting it? Could that be a single mission-critical skill set of what to say, how to relay it, whether it's through metaphor or allegory or example, because we're going to be using a variety of different solutions. So, Panjuna, first, this is called the bump objection. So the first thing we do is we intentionally bump into it. Now, when he bumped into me, he just transferred $5 grand into my rear pocket. So I'm okay, and I have no objection. Right now, we will begin. Number one, please write down the following. There are no problems unless you acknowledge them. I said this to you yesterday. There are no problems unless you, if you're in front of an audience and you trip on a word, take a breath, continue. Don't lose your cool. You drop something on the ground, they'll pick it up for you. You pick it up. It's not a problem unless you make it a problem. Your computer freezes. Benjun, I want you to make a comment about what you learned from me in terms of things that seemingly were all in the plan.
Joel is the genius at this, okay? At one of the live events that I was supporting him at, right at the close, there was the blue screen of death. When everybody was lining up, all ready to take out the credit cards, the blue screen of death came up, everything froze, there's no slides left. And Joel continued like it was all part of the plan. And what Joel said, what was brilliant at that time, I remember I was just mesmerized by it. What he said was, judge someone not when things are going well, but rather when things are not going well. And he turned the whole blue screen of death into like an entire teaching session. And sometimes you gotta wonder, like, did that blue screen of death happen intentionally? Like, he made it look intentional. So with one of the things that I learned that really differentiates top closers, speakers, marketers, average ones, is that Joel talks about Bruce Lee a lot. He talks about how, Bruce Lee always talks about how to be like water. And Joel, what I learned is that Joel's like water. Whatever happens is all part of the plan. And that mistakes are only mistakes if you acknowledge it. So now, when I incorporate that into my marketing, into my videos, the reason why I can now do videos in one take and be comfortable on camera, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, is because whatever happens was all part of the plan. And you just keep going.
On the blue screen of death, how many of you understand? Sometimes in the Windows environment, even in an Apple environment, everything goes to hell. Has this ever happened to you? It's happened to me. It happened during an event, and there it was. And the audience was going, and I didn't know what happened. I'm just in the moment. I go, yeah. Oh, you guys think that that's a mistake. I said, how many of you agree? I don't need the slides, do I? The slides aren't the key. So I went into that and I talked about imagery and how I could use words to manifest images. And I got a standing ovation. So I said, wait a minute. I went online and I look up blue screen of death. And I do a screen capture and I build it into a slide and do a fade in. And at the same point, the next time I did that event, I faded it in, and the audience went, huh! And I said, I did the same bit. And then I said, what if this was all by design? Bang! And the blue screen disappeared. And I go, everything is in design. There are no problems, only if you acknowledge them. Huge applause. So sometimes your worst moment can be magical. When Shu Ying came up here earlier, how many of you remember her speaking? And there was something pivotal about the way that she shifted the room. Better than I could do it, I think better than we could do it. Because you really related to her. And that's the whole key. So in overcoming objections, one of the objections, and you all need to write it down, we're going to use a combination of languaging. He'll use some language, I'll use some language, and then you decide what is useful for you. Both ways will work. Sometimes we'll be entirely congruent, but I want to learn from him now, and he wants to learn from me. And we have spent a lot of money to learn these lockdown and pre-qualifiers and pattern interruptions, and literally how to make sure that we can overcome these objections. Your number one objection will be it's too expensive. So I would like you to imagine someone articulating this to Pen June. What is your normal response?
It would be too expensive in comparison to what? Oh, your coaching program is $10,000? That's too expensive. In comparison to what? How much is one additional sale for you? Right, shout out your answer. What would your answer be? How much would it be if you got one additional sale, a typical sale in your business? How much is that worth? 4,000, 5,000? Right? So my answer would be, okay, do you believe that this program would help you generate a minimum of 10 additional clients for you? And if the answer is yes, then why is it too expensive in comparison to what?
So in addition to that, I'm going to give you something magical now. That's how we do it using languaging. But there's another way to do it that requires no language. Who'd like to be able to do it with no language? And this is how I prefer doing it. That's Penny Wild. That's her daughter. And I remember when she could not afford to attend, it was either her or her daughter. So she paid for her daughter. And then, when she applied the principles her daughter learned, she was able to attend, and then her son attended, and then her husband. And she said that if they hadn't spent the money, you see, if they hadn't spent the money, it would have cost them a fortune. I have a question. Is there anything in your life you've ever done, like what Penny almost didn't do, that you know is costing you? So I have two requirements in life. I never invest in anything unless there's a money-back guarantee. So write that down. And the money-back guarantee should be just solid, just like my mentorship membership program, that I will pay the actual individual who trusts me enough to try it for 1 year, makes the moves. And if they don't triple their investment minimally, sometimes they do 5,000 times their investment. There's no limit. You've already seen the program. So if money is a concern, and you don't triple your investment in the first year after making all the moves in the mentorship membership program, I will pay you $1,000. So money is never a concern. Your real expense will be not doing it and trying to find all the solutions. You won't find them. So you can use language alone, or you can build it back to your guarantee and actually offer to go the next step, because anyone who makes all the moves in his programs or my programs, we know will transcend their expectations. Is this useful for all of you? Yes. By show of hands. So in overcoming objections, by show of hands, how many of you would agree? Are we on the same page? Are you getting it? These are all embedded commands. By now, surely you would agree. By now, these are very fundamental embedded commands. How many of you can't imagine not knowing exactly what we learned here and how you will apply it? That's a future phase. So language is real important. In June, concern number 2, objection number 2, it's too much time to study with you. I mean, come on, an entire weekend.
For sure. The question is, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this thing? Many people say that they don't have enough time. I say that it's just not important enough. How many hours do you spend a day checking social media, looking at Facebook, going on YouTube, getting distracted, doing things that isn't generating any results for you? And what if you took the time from being distracted and investing it in yourself, in your health, in your finances? The truth is, we never really lack time. We never really lack motivation. It's just not important enough. Because if it was important enough, you will find the time.
I remember when Aretha Ali, her father shared with me that she was suicidal. And then I remember when she took the time that she said she didn't have, and her father said she didn't have, and she applied herself for 1 year, went through the modules. And at some point in the first month and a half, she forgot she was depressed. And then decided to have another child. And things started to fall into place. And yet she didn't believe she had the time. I remember Pamela Donnelly, when she was about to ask for a refund, which we happily would give her because we don't need the money. We got plenty of clients on the waiting list. Pamela Donnelly, that was her last $15,000, and she said she didn't have the 4 days. Now we flash forward 6 months. She built her system to gate, grades, submissions, testing, and essay, my friend. Online, almost $500,000 a year in revenue, $100 million buyout in the 5 years, 40 position, and a potential $500 million scalability through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And she said she didn't have the time. Question for you in this room, with show of hands. How many of you, if in 2 days we could quadruple your income, maximize your time, keep it exciting for all 4 of those days of training, when you literally didn't want to leave, how many of you think you could make time for an experience like that, where money is no concern and your freedom is valued?
And to put things into context before we move on to number 3, it's this, okay? So some of you could be thinking like, how does this apply to me? How do I actually benefit from knowing the answers to all these different objections? Okay, so we talked about Facebook and how this could be used as an ad to retarget the people who came to your pages but didn't buy. And each of these concerns is a video each. On top of that, you could also take these individual videos and upload these videos on your sales page, and you've seen Joel do this, right? If you've been to his sales page for his masterclass, is that every single concern, too expensive, not enough time, what if I'm just a beginner, what if I don't know what my market is, what if I don't know my passion, all of these different objections are all 1 videos each, and Joel answers them in like 30 seconds to a minute, and he places them on the sales page. This can also be used if you are on a webinar, and you're creating your webinar slide deck, and at the end of the webinar, what you say is, so for those of you that's ready to invest, all you need to do is open a new tab, go to this website, and for those of you that's still on the fence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions, which I'm going to put up on the slide deck now. So the people that can invest, go ahead and do that right now. But if you're still on the fence, and what you're really doing is you're going through all these different objections so that people are still on the fence at the end of this webinar, you're just going through and answering and crushing all objections.
The video FAQ I have for all of my events, and it also frees up your staff. Because what they say is, before addressing your questions, please click on this page. And there is the individual you're considering investing in. And so for any of you who are attending, for example, my masterclass in the art of presentation and closing my certification masterclass, that is all guaranteed to go in. If you were to go there, every question you can think of has been articulated by example, the actual solutions. I don't feel ready. How many of you remember that Prince was alive not too long ago and he was dead? Michael Jackson was 50 years old and he died. He sold out every ticket on his tour. You know how big his tour was? I believe it was How many of you know it was everywhere? It was an international global tour. He sold out in less than 3 hours. I heard it was less than 30 minutes. Can you imagine? It's a friend of mine, Peter Pitt. He was very mean to me. He was a magician in the Magic Castle. And I remember always respecting his work. But he was never nice to me. He was condescending and patronizing. And he was doing a lecture. He was rather accelerated in age. And he wasn't feeling very well. I didn't know that. I just showed up for the lecture. Because even though he was never nice to me, I still respected his work. I don't have to like someone to respect their work. So I went out at the end of his lecture, and even though I understood what he was teaching and I got it, I took out a $10 bill and I bought his lecture notes for $10, just out of respect and honor for the time that he put in the information. And he grabbed my hand with the $10 bill. He like clamped down on my hand. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "You don't know how much it means to me that you are here." And I remember tearing up. And then he died. Within 2 weeks. I didn't know that he was very sick. I didn't know that he had immune system deficiency. I didn't know that he would be gone. And so a man who was never nice to me, you know, I don't feel ready. If not now, then when? The systems are proven. We can do no more. You've seen so much proof. It's to the point where you actually know what absolute truth is. The only person standing in your way is you. I pay you if you fail. I guarantee my results. You've seen nothing but truth and proof. It's your turn to shine. You decide. For those of you that don't take action now, it becomes painful financially. This opportunity is legitimately off the table when that clock hits 0. Comments?
The truth is, when somebody says, "I do not feel ready," what I'll say is, if you think about really anything that is scary, that will make us grow, that pushes us and stretches us out of our comfort zone, we will never be ready for it. Many people say, "I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for inspiration to write my book." When does that inspiration ever happen? Like, what does that even mean? Does it mean that one day we're waking up and we're walking in the woods and we see this bird, and this bird gives us the inspiration, and finally we say, "I am ready to write this book"? Anything that challenges us, that pushes us out of our comfort zone, will always be scary. Any dream worth fighting for, we'll always feel that we're not ready for it. We don't wait for the feeling to take action. We take action, and that is when we get the feeling to do it. Most of the time, people want to do something when they feel like doing it. But the thing that separates champions with average people is that they will do it even when they don't feel like doing it. Anybody can go to the gym when they feel like doing something. But it is the days when they don't feel like doing it that separates champions from ordinary people. So anything, any dream that's worth fighting for, any challenge that will take you out of your comfort zone, you'll never feel ready for it. But you do it anyway because that is what gets you ready.
I need to discuss it with my spouse. I have a question for you. Does anyone in this room have someone in your life that often, somehow, maybe not intentionally, but sabotages almost every time you try and move forward? They find the negative, the pejorative. They find the reason for you not to embrace an opportunity that would have changed your life. The masterclass, the majority of you have already inquired about and taken action, and of course, I only have so many seats. Many of you want to discuss it with someone, so I have a question. When you ask someone their opinion, and they weren't here, and they didn't go through the emotional transformation, they weren't here for the 2 days and the 2 nights, they didn't hear from us, they didn't see the built-proven solutions, how do they make an informed decision? How many of you heard people before you even came here tell you that this was not a good idea? It was a waste of your time, hotel money, transportation. Who here was told they didn't need to come to this? Surely some of you. How many of you agree that the majority of the time you're given direction from others, loved ones, that the direction is based upon no logical or proof foundation? It's just someone's feeling, a feeling based on nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know in your heart that sometimes you need to make a decision that will change that person's opinion in your life because for some reason they were dealt a bad hand mentally and emotionally. If you need a phone home, I don't want you in my program. If you need to ask someone else their opinion, I don't want to train you. I want to train people who know what they're doing, know what you're doing, know the decision you're making now will change your life. I don't want you doing the hokey pokey with one foot in and one foot out.
So depending on the context of this question, if let's say this question was on a phone call, and I know that someone from my team is going to go on this call, one of the most common objections is this one. When they say, I need to speak to my spouse, or I need to think about it. So one of the things that's really crucial to pre-frame this in advance is to say this. It would be, Grace, so the purpose of this call is to find out if you are a good fit for this program. Now usually, at the end of this call, there will normally be three main outcomes. You say yes, and we realize that you're a good fit for a program, and we proceed, which is great. Your second option is when you say no, and you feel it's not a good fit for you, which is great, right? And this program is not for everybody, and we're perfectly fine with no, okay? The third option is when people say, I'll think about it. Let me ask my spouse. I want time. And we all know that the truth is we never really go home and think about something. We're just too nice because we don't want to say no. But I don't want to waste your time, and I'm sure you don't want to waste mine either. I would really appreciate it if at the end of this call, you either tell us whether it's a yes or whether it's a no, and not say, I'll think about it, or just ask my spouse. Would that be fair? Now, when you do that, what essentially happens is that you are framing the entire thing and you're increasing the odds of them saying yes because you've already said in advance. And so now, it's very clear-cut. It's either a yes or a no. Okay, now that's the context of a call. What if it was to the masses? What if it was on stage? What if it was on a webinar? Okay, to answer this thing, I need to discuss with my spouse. It would be this. It would be asking them things like what Joel said, which is we all make decisions based on two criteria, okay? Our heart and our mind. Now, Tony Robbins is a genius at doing this. Tony Robbins does this all the time. He has an entire exercise that talks about heart versus head. And he will say, your mind is designed to keep you safe. Your mind is designed for survival. I want to ask you the question of who normally wins? So you ask the audience, who normally wins? And the crowd would be like, the heart. Okay? And then they'll say, that's what you say now. And the truth is, your heart knows what it is that you want. Your heart wants to go for the thing that's scary for you. But your mind wants to keep you safe, to shelter you, protect you. But the problem is, the mind can't distinguish which ones are good for you. Your mind just wants you to keep doing the same thing you've been doing because that's when you'll be safe. But the thing that you want is outside of your comfort zone that isn't safe. Now, when you've conditioned your crowd to understand that heart is always more powerful than the mind, because heart is ultimately what you really want, during the close, that's when you anchor back in. Tony Robbins does this all the time, and he will say, so it's time to make that decision. What is your heart telling you right now? Okay? And when people are able to make decisions based on what they really want, heart, this objection of, let me speak to my spouse, wouldn't even be there. Because your heart knows what you want.
These are two professionally trained master closers. They've been trained by me, and they have dedicated their life to the art of the right languaging, ethically and morally, helping people make the decision they would have made on their own if their higher self was present, and not the conflicts and confusion often of the moment. There's no preparation here. You didn't know I was going to bring them up. State your first name.
Carl.
Carl, please address this concern. It's not the right time concerning the current masterclass that many of these people are considering.
Not the right time? If not now, then when?
Would you like to take that a little further?
Depends. Depends on why are you here? What brought you to this event?
Okay.
Are you looking for a change?
State your first name.
Titas.
It's not the right time.
When do you think is the right time to make the change?
So this is an example of just two concepts. I mentioned to you the prince is gone. I mentioned to you that I've lost 9 friends in the last 2 years. And I remember they had plans. How many of you had plans to spend more time with your parents? Grandparents? 2 of my wife and I friends lost a child. Do you know what that man, her cousin, Bob, would give to just have 5 minutes with his son? You say it's not the right time. This is the only time you have. You don't know when it's up. There is no past. There is only the present. That is a fact. I'll tell you a secret. If you don't take action now, you won't take it. This I know, as I stand before you from experience. If you do not make this decision now, the money it will cost you, that's obvious. Millions upon millions of dollars that you would have had. The freedom that you would have had. The leverage that you would have had. The clarity. And the ability for you to live your life on your own terms. If not now, then when? The most famous words ever uttered. If not this, then what? If not me, then who? Who else has the experience? Who else has the track record? It's just not the right time.
As Joel is saying this, I noticed that like 50% of you is not writing down what he's saying. Joel is giving you the script right now, and some of you might not realize that, okay? He's showing you what you should be saying in your videos, in your presentations, on your webinars. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is always look at what Joel is saying, right? Like this is the entire script, okay? And that is a much deeper level of learning. So, not the right time. When is it ever going to be the right time? When are the stars ever going to align for you? One radical decision can be a life-changing moment. And this is one of those moments. Real estate, you already know, is going up on average. In every major city in the world, prices of property double every 12 years. When is it ever going to be the right time to get involved in real estate? You ask most people would be last year, last decade. Okay? But the next best thing to start is today. Facebook ads, when is it ever going to be the right time? Prices of ads double every single year. If you think this year is expensive, wait till next year arrives. You're going to realize that this year was a steal.
Now let's shift. We are at an event here for real. So if you're watching this video, if in fact we ever decide to share this or allow people to invest in it, how many of you in this room sincerely value the time we're spending right now? Is this useful? If you don't learn, by the way, I'm not making this about me. I'm just showing you a slice. He's showing you a slice. Here's another master closer. Someone from my trusted inner circle. Someone who's dedicated his life. But this man has a resource that even we don't have. This man comes from law enforcement. This man deals with liars every day of his life, the worst kind. Pedophiles, rapists, addicts. This man deals, oh yeah, this man is a part of the law enforcement system in the United States. He's used to people making up things in the moment. People who are pathological. People who actually believe their lies. And yet you've learned to kind of discern the truth, and your gut has taken you far, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I fear speaking, and they're coming to a training that teaches them how to speak, how to find and connect with the part of their voice. How might you, as a master of language, closing, and psychology, a man who's dealt with the worst of the worst, and been able to direct them and help them rebuild their lives and recover, how would you address that?
The fear of speaking, but yet you're going to go to an event to learn how to speak and you're afraid of that. Well, that's why you're going to go to that event. The fact is that you can lie to yourself as much as you want, but unless you actually take that massive action, you're not going to change at all. There has to be some type of click at some point when you go, what I'm doing and what I have been doing is just getting me in the same place, if not worse, every time. So thinking about that, you take that action, and that's where you move towards progressing. You're gonna fail, you're gonna mess up. I've messed up plenty of times. I still mess up, but that's what brings you up and makes you stronger. And that's what would allow you to speak and be able to get up in front of people. I am actually one of those people that hate speaking in front of people, okay? I have always had that fear. I grew up in Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. That is where I learned to speak in front of people because I was forced to do it. At my Eagle Scout ceremony, there was over 300 people there, and I still had a problem getting up in front of people. But by doing that and facing the fear is where you actually get to that change.
Let me ask you a question. How many of you would say this is a nice-looking man? I would. I think he's handsome. I think he's articulate. I think he's balanced. I think he has a good heart. I had dinner with him last night. I had no idea that he'd be joining us for dinner. He was walking by and we asked him to sit down, and he was kind enough to join us. My daughter said he's the most interesting person I met at the event. She wants to spend time with him because she finds his mind and the way he processes information to be fascinating. Would you please state how much you weighed just a matter of a handful of months ago?
275 pounds.
Would you please state your current weight?
154.
Please state the larger number because someone don't even believe they heard it.
275 pounds.
There's something you need to understand. Would you like to know how he lost the weight?
Yes.
He almost died. Tell me your story for a moment. Take 30 seconds.
Misdiagnosed high school football injury, bleeding out internally to the point my hemoglobin count, which should be 14, was 6. I was actually with my family. I blacked out and hit the ground. I then got up and actually went into the ER and walked in, and the doctor looked at me and said, "How are you standing?" I then proceeded to have the gastric bypass surgery because of the fact that if I had stayed where I was, I would have died. There was a different surgery I could have had, but that surgery could have killed me with my training and my ongoing training I do. One bad hit, and I was done. The doctor flat out said, if you take one bad hit in training, you're dead. So I then had to have that surgery, which changed my life dramatically, changed exactly what I had to eat. My whole eating habits are done. I eat 7 meals a day, and I snack all the time.
Freeze. I don't say freeze disrespectfully. How many of you noticed that just now, as long as he speaks from experience, there wasn't even any type of fear that you could recognize. And when I just gently touched your back and you moved into the crowd, and you were just speaking to them from your experience, how many of you felt he was very comfortable? And how many were fascinated by him telling his truth? His story of transformation. So write this down. The fear of speaking is the fear of not knowing what you're talking about. I have a fear of speaking, and I've trained ostensibly over 30% of the world's most profitable speakers, authors, and authority positioning experts. I have no fear when I train you in finding your voice and telling the truth. I have a tremendous fear of teaching you to lie, distort, or misrepresent, because that's never good. This man and you are fearless when you tell the truth. Fear of public speaking is a lie. Other fears are real, but not this one. You fear not knowing what you're talking about. Who has a fear of speaking here in the room? Fear of speaking. Please tell me your father's first name. Stay with me. Father's first name.
A.
Tell me about your dad. Just close your eyes and tell me about your dad. How he treated you, how much you loved him.
My father's not alive right now. He died when he was like 56 from a heart attack. When I was growing up, I knew that he loved me, but he wasn't very available.
Freeze. She's masterful at talking about her truth. How many of you want to leave her more just now? You think no one wants to hear your story. I'm showing you not how to speak, but how to tell your story in a way where they will invest in your products, your services, and your support. You will be fearless. A little bit of fear is okay, but there'll be so little you won't even recognize it.
When somebody says they fear something, like I fear speaking, the truth is we never have that fear or lack of confidence, but rather it's an issue of skill set. We fear something and we have a confidence issue about something when we don't have the skill to back it up. But if you were world class at it, you wouldn't have the fear, nor would you have the issue of confidence. So it's not a confidence issue, it's not an issue of fear. It is the lack of skill set that makes you have that fear. Speaking was scary for me when I didn't have the skill set. But because I learned it, I practiced, and I mastered it, I don't have that fear anymore because I acquired and I learned that skill set. And speaking is the same thing. Speaking is a learnable, transferable skill. And what if you could actually learn and acquire that skill, and when you have that skill, you become fearless?
Doesn't feel right for me. I remember Stephen, who ran a company, still runs it, called Cold Gold Cowboy Productions. And it's right here in California. It's in Palm Springs. And he invited me for a meeting, and he said he would pay me $10,000 a day to articulate his message from the skill sets that I have. By show of hands, would anyone here like to generate $10,000 per day? Every day a cashier's check would come. Every day by FedEx, a cashier's check would come. Cheryl, my wife, the woman I've been with for 36 years, would you please confirm that checks for $10,000 came every day? And it went on for over a year to the tune of $1.4 million. Am I exaggerating? I'm waiting for an answer. It was $1.4 million. Yeah, it was $1.4 million. Question for you, how many could use $1.4 million? And all I had to do was speak from the heart and deliver his message. And so I had to find the truth. There's a problem though. When I met him for lunch to discuss this scenario and this commitment, he handed me this clicker. This is the original. He handed me a Dell laptop computer. And I was an Apple guy, and I had no idea how to use that PC, nor had I ever worked with PowerPoint. I had no idea how to open the PowerPoint. I had no computer skills other than a few little graphics things. on my Mac. And so I was right. I didn't say that. I wanted the money, I wanted to take care of my family, I wanted to leverage those that I love. He said, you just open PowerPoint, go through the slides, all the information's there, study. Your first gig is in 2 weeks. And I've already sent you 3 checks for $30,000. It didn't feel right. But I did it. The first time I did it, I felt terrible. Disconnected, like I didn't understand what I was talking about, because I got a little confused. And then I did it again, got a little easier. And after the 5th or 6th time, it started to become a behavior. So if this doesn't feel quite right, it's not supposed to. It's new. But what does feel right to you is all the proof you've seen, the people you've related to, and the fact that I have a track record, and the fact that I will give you all your money back at the end of day 1, if when you get there, it doesn't feel right. If when you meet the people that I've handpicked, the accountability partnerships, the alliance partnerships, if it doesn't feel right, just go home at the end of the day. Wire you back your money, right back in your bank account, nothing happened, you had a free day of training, but don't test it. Come with high expectations. I will transcend. It's not supposed to feel right, but it's supposed to feel like you know that if you don't have this answer, and you don't have these skill sets, and you don't have the solution, that you're not going to be accelerating or changing your position or your point of view. In fact, nothing may change, and that's not good enough. And so fear of the unknown, it's fair. Maybe you don't feel entirely like it's right, but show of hands in this room, how many of you know that if you did it, it would significantly shift where you are now? And how many of you know if you did it, it could monetize in ways that you never imagined possible? And how many of you know that, like the people you've seen in this room, it could change everything? And it might be the defining, most significant moment in your life.
The things that scares us, challenges us, to get us out of our comfort zone will never feel right. I remember when there was a point in time where fitness and health was never part of my life, was never part of my life's equation. I've always been this skinny kid in school that lacked confidence, primarily because, number one, I had an eating disorder, and I weighed about 50 kgs, which is approximately 100-ish pounds. So I was just skin and bones, never felt confident, and health and fitness was never a thing of mine. And I remember when I made that decision to change the quality of my life, my level of confidence and how I looked, when I went to the gym, I had all these different considerations in my mind. Because it didn't feel right. What didn't feel right? The thought of driving to the gym, looking for a car park, and then the thought of parking the car, heading over to the locker room, putting all my clothes in the locker room, on the hanger where all the clothes would tip one side, and then after that, what if I went into the gym and I'm lifting my pussy weights when all these muscle-up juice heads are just, doing a thing. All these things just didn't feel right. But when it comes to eating a cheeseburger, it's just one step. You just eat the cheeseburger, right? Feels right. So the truth is, the things that will always challenge us and get us out of our comfort zone will never feel right. And that is why, all the more, you have to do it.
I can't sit that many days. If you are a masterclass graduate of mine in this room, please stand up only if you wanted the event to never end. And how many of you, before you came to the event, thought it was going to be difficult, but in fact, I don't let you sit very long. I have a perfect balance of getting you up and interactive, and then you want to sit down because I balance it. It's interactive, it's proactive. How many of you wanted it to last longer because you got to work on you and you are oscillating at a frequency that was in perfect harmony with people of like mind, with like intention? And that's so rare. You've got to work on you and then take care of those you love.
This personally resonates with me because I am somebody who can't sit still for a sustained period of time. Hey, I get that. But what if this event was not another event where you came in, sat down, learned a bunch of things, because it's not about information. What you need right now is actually implementation. And this event, this coaching, is not about giving you more stuff, because let's face it, information is everywhere. All these different things that you want to do, that's tactical in nature, is available on YouTube. This is not going to be another product, another program where you logged in and got a bunch of stupid videos. This is about the accountability. This is about creating the environment, because environment is stronger than willpower. This is about giving you the insight on what to do next. Because information, I know that you're not going to sit down, sit still for 5 days watching all these different videos. I get that. Because this event, this program, this coaching is not about more information. It is about implementation. It is about changing who you are, how you think, because that is the thing that is going to help you get results.
What if I don't know what my purpose is? I'll tell you a little secret. If you don't have a process for that, generally you'll never figure it out. So what if you came to an event where there was a process on day one, 100% money back guarantee on day one, and you found yourself standing up with 100% of the road because I had identified what your purpose was, and for the first time you said, you know, that feels good. And then I showed you tools and skills, and you saw that you could build a system from it. And then I revealed the ultimate secret. You make a choice on that particular passion / purpose, and you commit to it, and we build your system, and we monetize it. And if after we build it, even during the process, it doesn't feel right, let me tell you why it won't feel right. Because your ultimate purpose will surface every time. But you cannot find it unless you make a commitment to something and move in that direction. I have found this to be absolute truth for the over 2,300 at the highest level students that I have trained, include Mark Johansson, Mark Allen, Jenny Armata, the highest paid online and offline marketers, authors, authority position leaders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people like you with families like yours. Everyone finds that your purpose, it's not one thing. There are several choices you can make. How many of you would like to be able to make that choice? Know that it's right, monetize it, and know that if it doesn't feel right, you're able to instantly plug in what surfaces automatically. Really important.
In an ideal world, people say you gotta find your purpose, you gotta find your passion, and when you find that, you'll never have to work a day in your life. I personally do not believe that. Sure, it would be ideal to be able to do something that we actually love, that's meaningful for us, but most of the time, especially when a person is starting out, you don't get to have that luxury. And the way you find your purpose is to experiment, to try different things. And when you find something that actually sparks some sort of interest, that is when you go all in that journey of mastering something. And in that journey, that's when you discover your purpose. Nobody ever sits down thinking and discovering what their purpose is in 5 minutes. It is true that in that journey, in that experience, do you discover that purpose?
What if it doesn't work? When you invest in my online mentorship membership program, which took me 43 years to build, all based on what works, I've omitted everything, literally removed everything that doesn't work. And you make all the moves for that 1 year. The way you're perceived, conceived, received changes. Money rolls in, a degree of freedom rolls out. But let's say it doesn't work. You didn't triple your investment. Triple every dime that you invested in the program that you already know is dramatically underpriced. It takes care of every solution you've been looking for. You don't triple your investment in 1 year, and you made all the moves, your money will be instantly wired back to your bank account. And I will pay you $1,000 as a way of saying thank you for trying. My students have never failed. Not one person has ever failed who implemented the moves. I only ask you one thing: make the moves. I'll coach you through it. I hold your hand. The videos are intimate. The students who are part of our private culture will keep you in an accountability partnership. You will have an incapacity for failure, but you will want to make the moves. If it didn't work, I pay you if you fail. There is no risk. I won't allow it. I'll take care of you in ways that even your parents and or your business partners have never taken care of. I will pay you if you fail.
What if it does not work? Well, let me ask you this. What if it does work? What if you implemented the steps and you finally got the results that you've always wanted? I remember when I looked at that P90X commercial as seen on TV with those gadgets, and I thought to myself, I want that body. It's not that it's not that thread mills don't work, it's that you are using thread mills to hang your clothes. That's why it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you're not putting in the work. That's when it does not work.